Let's speak now to Big Phil, Colonel Philip Ingram, former British Army intelligence officer, about the policing of these riots, the aftermath, the social media control, and also whether there are any sort of implications of hostile forces from other countries involved. Philip, great to have you on the programme, as always. I can't get rid of you, can I?
Yeah, always good to be on. And you didn't get talking about ologies. You have to talk about ologies. Maureen Lipman said those were so important. I'm showing my age.
What are ologies?
Well, it's biology and sociology, because her nephew got an ology and therefore he was very intelligent.
Oh, I got an offie. I did philosophy, so I got an offie in literature. Anyway, I digress. Now let's talk about Keir Starmer's response to what's going on, because I've been saying so far on the show that a lot of people out there have been kind of freaked out by it, thinking they're going to come and have their collar felt, that they might have retweeted something back in, I don't know, 2018, and they're going to end up in prison. Is he doing the right thing? Is this the way you've got to handle these sorts of situations, do you think?
I think the messaging that's coming out is wrong. The police will be analysing social media posts to see if any of them are inflammatory, and will cross the guidelines that have been given to them, in the same way that they'll be gathering intelligence against all of the participants in the different riots and demonstrations to see if they've stepped over the line, and then will slowly but surely start to feel the colours of those that are most obvious. But those that think they've got away with it, they probably won't, because the police will take a little bit more time to confirm who it is, then go and feel their colours, or put them onto intelligence databases. So if they ever pop up again, if they're not quite at that limit where they should be arrested, if they pop up again, they know who they are.
OK, so that's interesting, because that sort of put me back into the sort of mindset of, well, who are naughty and who are nice? Because we're all just saying what we wanted online a while ago, thinking that's OK, I can say what I want, it's only words. Now all of a sudden we learn that's not the case, and it's potentially being applied retrospectively. So, you know, there might be a few people out there thinking, gosh, I had a few tinnies and said some pretty spicy stuff on Twitter. Am I going to be in trouble now? I promise I won't do it again. But is it too late?
Well, it is, if it's gone out and done harm. You know perfectly well as a journalist what the defamation laws are in this country, and have to tread very carefully around to make sure that what you say aren't crossing the line, because the courts will come down very heavily on you if someone decides to take you to court, if you have have defamed them in any way. And it's the same whenever you get into threatening behaviours and all the rest of it. People think that once they put something up on social media, especially if they put it up from an anonymous handle that they've got on there, that they can say what they want and they can get away with it. There's nothing ever completely anonymous when it's put onto the internet. There are mechanisms of finding out, especially if you can get court orders and court warrants, get the detail of the real person behind any handle. It's not difficult. OK,
so here's a question. Can truth ever be crossing the line? So if someone happens to, say for instance me, right, I've spoken a lot about female harassment and increase in things like unwanted sexual attention coming from men from cultures where they don't uphold the same level of women's rights, who, you know, come to this country and think, oh great, you know, candy shop. And I've talked about statistics to back that up, in Sweden, in Denmark, and also made it quite clear when I said these things that we're not talking about everybody, clearly not. And then, you know, some people have clipped that up and taken just the bit out that suits them, and that bit's gone viral. So say people saw that and then they suddenly go, right, that sounds a bit like she's saying X, Y, and Z. Now people have gone out into the streets because of it. I mean, can truth cross the line? There's a funny grey area here where things aren't really defined, and I think a lot of people out there are worried more about that. Look, if you're someone who said, go and get a match and set fire to something, go and beat someone up, pick up a weapon and, you know, go after... That's obvious to me. That is very obvious. That's cut and dry. But there's this murky area in the middle that I don't... You know, there's a Venn diagram going on here, and I think people are very worried about that section.
You're 100% right. So using that scenario where you've said something and it's completely the truth, but someone else has taken it, clipped it up, and taken a section out of that and put it out. You haven't done anything wrong, and I'm not a lawyer, so please, lawyers, correct me if I am wrong here in dealing with this, but you wouldn't have done anything wrong telling the truth. And you, if it got to court, can turn around and prove that this is the truth, and therefore you haven't said anything that's defamatory. However, the individual that takes that small section and then puts that out to have a different effect because they're changing the messaging and all the rest of it, will be the individual that is either causing the defamation or is putting something illegal by using that to try and incite, a riot, violence, or whatever. So, people who are in in public positions, who are public facing, need to be conscious that their personas can be taken and put out, and you can be turned into deep fakes. With AI these days, it is not difficult to take a picture of someone who is in the media and put that onto AI and get them saying virtually anything you want them to say, and it looks very real indeed. Barack Obama has suffered from that. A number of other senior politicians and celebrities around the world have suffered from that very thing.
I mean, under their own new rules, surely the Labour Party have amongst their ranks people who could fall foul of them, because we've had Wes Streeting talk about I would push someone under a bus and things like that. We've had sort of, a number, I would say some of the spicier language of political discourse over the past sort of 5 years has come from that side more than anyone else, using even Angela Rayner, Deputy Prime Minister, the sort of thing she said about Tories, calling them scum.
Yep.
It's a very dangerous route to go down, isn't it? And does it stop after this? This is the question. Do other states do this in the Western world? Because, of course, America has a, whatever it is, amendment, so they can, say what they like, and that's enshrined in their constitution. Is this going on in France and Germany and Italy, or are we sort of, the first, really, among our peer group to be trying to now control narratives on social media so publicly?
It's going on in different countries across the world in different ways. So there's different levels of toleration that are going on, and there's different levels of oversight. So it's actually quite complex. But, I think Keir Starmer, by focusing on this, is leaving himself open to another accusation of two-tier care, given the number of individuals that he's got on his front benches who, if you troll through their social media, as you've said, have published things that today would get them prosecuted, and they should be asked to resign as ministers if that's sitting there, because you can't have this one rule for us and one rule for the others. There are different rules in different countries that can be even more draconian. You go into the Middle East, everything's monitored very closely. You step over the mark and people will come and bang on the door. The United States will monitor anything that's from a non-US citizen. They've much more difficulty in monitoring stuff from US citizens in the States. But if you're a foreigner, then it's fair game. And of course, all of this is being manipulated. We've got Russia has got special units within their GRU, the first directorate, their military intelligence, who specialise in looking for areas that they can manipulate and try and create fractures within societies and and create political diversity and all the rest of it. And the Chinese are very good at it as well.
Indeed, they are. Philip, it's always good to have you on the programme. There he is, good old Big Phil. I love the way he just puts things pragmatically. Not sure I feel any more reassured, though. I'm going back down my dystopian hellhole of paranoia.